Here's the trend in average farm real estate values, which is no surprise to y'all. It's been in a steady uptrend since 2003. We had a very slight setback in land values in 2009. And now, by the way, this is average farm real estate value. They've got several breakdowns here. Farm real estate value includes all farm real estate, including pasture, cropland, building sites, everything. The cropland one I'll show you separately, and the pasture one I'll show you separately. And this is average across the entire country, but it is in a strong uptrend. One of the biggest questions that people have these days, are land prices in a bubble? Are we going to see a break in land prices like we saw in residential real estate prices? And God forbid, are we going to see a break in land prices like what we saw in the early part of the 1980s? And I'm going to answer that question when I get to the end of this section. The short answer is I don't think so, and I'll just explain why. It's not just Pollyanna wishful thinking. That's a state-by-state view of average farm real estate by state. And it shows average farmland in Washington, for example, at $2,300 an acre, up 10% from the year earlier. Oregon, $2,100. Idaho, $2,120, up 3%. But again, that's all farm real estate put together. I understand that I'm sure that you have some prime land in your state that is $7,000, $8,000, $9,000 an acre. This is averages. And you know, when you're an economist, one of the big problems you have with averages, it's kind of like two economists who go out duck hunting. They're sitting in a boat. Duck flies up. One economist shoots 10 feet too high. The other economist shoots 10 feet too low. And then they look at each other and say, you know, on the average, we nailed that duck. Yeah, averages have their shortcomings. Now, this is just looking at cropland value in dollars per acre. So if you just look at the cropland component of farmland, it's still in a very nice steady uptrend, up around $3,500 an acre for the country as a whole. We showed that setback in 2009, but then the uptrend resumed. And there's a map. There's the map showing cropland values by acre, by state. And again, I realize in this big a room with this many people, you can't read the numbers even on that huge screen. And that's why I'm making this whole presentation available to you. At the end, I'll have my email address and you can just write me and ask for it. Pasture values. Pasture values are a different story. As you can see there, pasture values have kind of leveled off since 2008. And a big part of that has been a big drop in the demand for recreational land for people just looking for hunting properties or a place in the country. That component of the non-farmer demand for ag land has leveled off. In fact, when I show you the state-by-state map, you can see it's actually declined. In the Pacific Northwest, the value of pasture land has declined. And that's a function of a drop in the demand for hunting and recreational purposes, plus the fact that it's been pretty darn hard to make any money in the cow-calf business with the high price of feed for the fed cattle operators.